Yeah. Let me drop exclusive game from my exclusive mind. You be out here chasing fame, I stay steady on my grind. Zero diamonds, zero.
Thank you for tapping into the Exclusive Minds podcast. Today we're going to be having an exclusive conversation with exclusive content from Exclusive Minds. I'm your host, Rook, and
Joe?
let's get right into it.
For episode 18.
Yo.
Pretty sure it's episode 18 because oh my God. So I screwed up the last one when we closed out. I was like, oh, we'll see you on episode 19. And I was just totally off.
It happens, man. It happens.
It happens when you get old. That's one of those differences between us.
I don't even know what episode
shit.
we're on every time. I kind of just looked at Joe and he's like, 13, 14. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure. That sounds good. Let's rock with it.
But I am pretty sure this is episode 18.
Yeah,
so,
no. So episode 18, we're going to be telling you guys which side we're on, Ukraine or Russia. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to go there.
Well, given my last name is Babiak and I am of Ukrainian descent, I guess I should say that I am rooting for Team Ukraine.
That was a tasteless joke. I apologize. We are standing with Ukraine 110%.
Yeah, that's a really effed up thing, man.
You have to. I mean, I think that would be a good starting point. I guess it's kind of like overtalk. I mean, me personally, someone that gets their news like we talked about in a couple episodes ago from social media. My kind of look on it might not be the same as yours, where you kind of know more of the facts. Like, this is what's actually happening, and I don't know. From my perspective, it's just like Ukraine was once a part of Russia, and now Vladimir Putin's like, we want that back, or is there like more to it? Or is
there's a whole hell of a lot more to it. Is
there more to it?
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, beyond the fact that the dude is just a lunatic at this point, right? Because
he's getting power hungry and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you try and take over a sovereign country, you know there's going to be blowback. And quite frankly, I think the Russian economy is going to get crushed because of this, because let's face facts, the rest of the world, besides maybe China, is not going to do business with them anymore. So,
and China's trying to go into Taiwan, right?
Well, I mean, so
is that like up in the air?
I guess what they're saying is that, well, China's always claimed that Taiwan is part of China. And so the expectation is that depending on how this all plays out, if Russia actually pulls this off, then
they're going to do that.
China will do the exact same thing to Taiwan. But yeah, I mean, obviously, without boring everybody to death, I mean, there's a lot to it. It's got a lot of moving parts.
I think it's a great topic to talk about, just because we're kind of non-biased on that type of thing. We're not going to try to spill the narrative a certain way. And like I said, I genuinely don't have too much, backstory or knowledge of why that stuff's happening. I'm sure a lot of kids don't, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's got everything to do with money.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
as most things do.
Right? He's trying to, he's invading Ukraine to actually, I think, capture a pipeline.
Is that what it is? That's what I kind of figured.
And then
right?
what he's going to do is then he'll have the ability to really choke off Eastern Europe, because they Germany and all these countries get their natural gas from Russia. And the Nord Stream pipeline that they keep turning off and on, that was the other thing. So it's a little bit of that.
So it's just like a series of things that are just kind of like pushing.
Yeah, I mean, Ukraine actually I think has one of the largest deposits of coal. And China buys a crap ton of coal from Russia and Ukraine. So that's another thing. And then obviously agricultural. It's a huge farming country.
Yeah, man, that's just terrible. You shouldn't be invading that. But I mean, I saw a good story to come out of it. It was like this pilot called the Ghost of Kiev. You seen this?
Yeah, there's one plane that's shot down 6 other planes.
I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's urban
either. I think it might
legend.
be urban myth, but you never know.
So for the people that don't know, I woke up and I saw it on Twitter. It's his name's the Ghost of Kiev. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but he's going around and protecting Ukraine and flying around, and apparently has 6 confirmed kills, and he's the first person to do that since Vietnam or something, right? Getting an ace or whatever. But I guess it's just something cool to look at if you're from Ukraine and you're there's a sense of hope.
I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stories about just
people giving it to them,
heroics and nationalism and giving up your life and stuff. So I mean, the two that are just amazing is the one guy blew himself up in the process, but he blew up a bridge to keep the Russian tanks from coming across a river. And then the guys on that little island.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty
talk
sick.
about intestinal fortitude, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that when you tell those guys to go F off, they're going to just completely level
out.
your... And I was like, damn.
No, I saw another one. It was like a girl. She like went up to a soldier and was like, "Put these seeds in your pocket."
Because
She's
when
like,
you die,
it's
the
gonna be like
sunflowers
flowers.
will grow. Yeah, that's classic too. So, I mean, look, it's really effed
Bro,
up.
we're living through like history. Like it seems like every single day at this point. Like it started back with like the COVID pandemic stuff, and then kind of like lighter topics like all that snow in Texas that they'd never seen before, once in a century type of snow.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the one thing that I think is really interesting about, everybody pisses and moans about social media. And I think this is kind of an interesting reflection of where social media, I think in some respects, even for, psychopaths like Putin, have to have a filter because of social media, right? Because I mean, if you look at it, right, I mean, Russia could probably just level the entire country in like 10 minutes with, rockets and missiles and stuff like that. But they
And due
can't,
to their size.
They can't attack any civilian positions because they know that that'll instantly get on social media, and then there'll really be a shitstorm for the world, right? I mean, right now everybody's holding back and saying, oh, we're not going to get involved. U.S. is not going to get involved. But, he starts blowing up residential
civilians.
buildings and stuff like that. Everything changes, and that, I mean, you can't hide behind that. Everybody's got a freaking cell phone, even in Ukraine. So
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting dynamic, and so.
Yeah. Or you have like the Instagram trolls that are going on at Vladimir Putin's page, and they're like in his comments, "Oh, please don't do this. This is not you." Like, what the hell are you doing, guys?
I know.
I know what you're trying to say.
It's wild, though. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of an interesting dynamic because you can't, unless you have completely lost your mind, you can't like commit atrocities and stuff that may have happened in years past, right? Where all of that stuff, like they showed that dude who ran the car over with the tank.
Oh yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure the guy driving the tank's like and laughing his ass off, not realizing that he's being videotaped, and boom, it's up, and it's like, okay, so here's the military attacking civilians for no reason at all, right? War crimes. It was all over the thing, and I'm like, that's instant to the world. So,
and that's just one example too. Like, think about all the things that are not being recorded that probably have like a similar thing. Like, I only saw the one angle from that, but imagine if that dude wasn't just recording this tank.
Yeah,
there's probably a number of instances.
You just have to go out in life and assume that everything you do at every instant in time is being recorded somewhere.
I like this quote: "With every action, there's a reaction."
Yeah. Well,
You like that?
Yeah.
I got that from the Tinder Swindler. The guy
I
that stole all
thought
the
that
money.
was Spider-Man or something.
Oh, no. That's from the Tinder Swindler, stealing all these women's money.
It's either that or it was Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Wasn't it Spider-Man?
I don't know. Who knows? But
So, do we want to just jump into the Yeezy and?
yeah, I mean, it's not even worth giving an update on cryptos, I guess, right? I mean, everything's going down the drain.
I mean, crypto was getting crushed, and then it kind of bounced back, and that's the other thing they said that now with Russia, right? It all ties back to Russia, but they said that the world economy is going to shut down in Russia, right? Everybody's already started canceling any contracts or agreements, and they're not shipping. We're not taking anything, and now they're all saying that Russia will just start using cryptocurrency to do all their transactions.
Isn't that
externally.
ironic? Because they
they
tried to ban it,
control it and stuff.
No. So last week we talked about Joe's order of this, Yeezy hoodie. I know we talk about Kanye West a lot on here, and I don't know, it just seems to be the center of the focus for the past couple months. But
yeah, it's interesting.
It is interesting stuff, man. I mean, this is one of those things where the viewpoint from me and Joe kind of bump heads,
sometimes.
So, no, we Joe ordered a hoodie. It was the Yeezy and Gap collab hoodie, or I think it's a collab, right?
It's not, I mean, he's working for him.
So he's like a
it's
director.
It's just like Adidas, right? It's,
okay.
They're the ones producing it, but it's his brand, and it's got his logo on it. But
yeah, so talk to me. How did you feel about it? Like, was it overwhelming, underwhelming, over promised, under delivered? What are we talking here?
So, I mean, obviously, the weird thing about it was it took like 2 months to get it. So, like, you order it, and then it says, "Oh, it's an 8-week lead time," and sure enough, it took probably took 6 weeks to get it. It comes in a box, and it's actually in a like a recyclable I want to say it's a brown paper bag. It's kind of what it is.
Like imagine going to the grocery store and then getting a paper bag.
Yeah,
from there.
I mean, I don't know. These are the little things I look at. Like how do you present the packaging and stuff like that. I mean, I know it's a silly thing because it's literally a 30-second. Like you open up the box, you rip into the bag, and then you're off and running, right? And you don't really think about it, but that stuff matters to me, right? So I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, I like the packaging. The hoodie itself, I mean, it is literally a heavyweight black hoodie that has the YZY
Gap.
Yeah, Gap label on the neck. And other than that, there's no, discernible, hey, this is a Yeezy hoodie. It is freaking heavy as crap. I mean, it's almost like a weighted blanket. I kind of was my analogy.
Yeah, I mean, for the people that know hoodies, I mean, I don't know the correct amount of ounces. What I could compare it to is kind of like for the people that know the Fear of God Essentials hoodie, which I happen to wear over to Joe's. It's like that, but heavier. I don't know about the fit. You were telling me a little bit about that, but it's like I feel like in 2022, like $80 isn't a bad price for a hoodie. I know some people are like, "Oh, that's outrageous. I'll never buy something that much." That
Well,
I'm just
so I mean, the problem I think I have, at least mentally, is we kind of see what the raw prices are, right? So. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what this particular one costs raw, what the actual cost is. Look, we're all about making money, right? But I think that's the struggle that I sometimes have is separating a finished product with, what you can actually buy it from. And it's coming from China. I mean, actually, no, I take that back in fairness. I think that they actually do all the Yeezy clothing, I think says, but very specifically that's made in the U.S.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so that's kind of
pretty
nice.
cool. Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, so I mean, fit wise, it's a large, right? Which is what I would normally wear. It's kind of weird. It's the hood, like the hood part of it, is like super huge. So if you put it over your head, it covers and it's kind of floppy and stuff, and it's nice. It's really nice. But it really has a sharp taper at your waist, and to the point where, I mean, it's either riding up or it's just it doesn't. I mean, it's right at your belt line, and it doesn't. I mean, it does not go any lower.
It's
than
definitely
that.
like a specific fit. I mean, I think that's like all of his stuff. All right, so this is my question, right? So we're in the clothing stuff, obviously. I saw that with this hoodie particularly, it only came out in 2 colors. Do you think that's kind of, I mean, obviously it's deliberate, but do you think that's kind of a setup of a parlay to kind of release more colors? And do you think, that's going to be like better going forward? Because I know when we drop something, we kind of offer it in maybe 4 colors, and this time around we did different weights, So, I mean, is that the move, kind of limiting your options to see like, all right, you guys got to do this, and then the next drop we'll do another set of 2 colors? Do you think that's like better for marketing?
I think it is for Yeezy. I mean, even with the shoes, right? I mean, obviously it starts off with, black and
the blue.
Yeah, and then it kind of expands out from that. So I mean, it's all intentional, right? They intentionally keep the market tight and thin so that there's this artificial hype and, inflation, like what we just put in for those black, the 350s, right?
Yeah,
and we both literally just got notifications that we were not selected, and we're pissed about it, right? Oh God, you feel cheated out that you can't buy a $230 pair of freaking shoes. It's nuts, right? So I mean, but that's the I think by keeping it narrow, right, having just a couple colors and sticking with just a couple colors and just releasing 1 color at a time, but maybe doing that over time instead of releasing 4 at one shot. Yeah, you create this artificial narrow market where there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of exclusivity, and you feel. I mean, it's funny, right? I mean, like I said, I didn't get the shoes, and now I'm sort of jacked and hyped that I want a shot at the next one. It's like kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's kind of interesting. So yeah, I mean, I think that it makes a lot of sense to keep it tight to 1 or 2 colors and maybe experiment downstream. But yeah, it's probably the way to go. Plus, it's a lot easier from a logistics and a supply chain, which is obviously an issue right now.
Just keep it relatively simple and straight to what it is. Yeah, I like it. I like also. I know that there was some controversy that there was nothing on it. I mean, that's kind of what we talked about before we got on air. You're like, I didn't know what to expect. Like, this is kind of what I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I guess I mean, we're trying to develop a brand, right? Exclusive Minds, and all of the clothing has pretty visible Exclusive Minds thing, and this is kind of the exact opposite. So I'm like, when I first, like I said, I don't know what the hell I was expecting, right? We've all seen them on stage, and we've all seen them basically wearing these hoodies, right? And they're it's just a black hoodie, right? So, I don't know what the expectation was, but then I'm like, man, there's no branding on this. It is literally just a black hoodie that you could, get off the Wildwood Boardwalk for $10. Obviously the quality is far superior to that, but yeah. I mean, there's nothing that screams, hey, I'm wearing a Yeezy hoodie, which is what I think most people, when they buy something, they want to flash the brand, right? That's we have that argument all the time, right?
Yeah, it's truly one of those things where if you know, you know.
Yeah,
it's like a watch, like.
It is.
If you know, like, if you know someone that's into watches, or you don't know someone that doesn't know anything from a watch to a $5 or 5-cent watch, that's the difference, right? You could be wearing a what is this called? The Richard Millie's, the $250,000 plastic watches, or you could be wearing a watch that comes from Amazon. You just, if you know, and if you don't, you don't. But I like it, man. It's very clean and simple.
Yeah, it just, for me, it just kind of opened up a bunch of thought. I'm like, yeah, this is just weird, right? I mean, I like it, and then I'm like, well, but it's got no, I can't pose in it because it doesn't have any logos, and so I was kind of going back and forth. And then, of course, he just launches a bunch of the whole tracksuit, the sweatpants, let's talk about that. The short and long sleeve T-shirts, another hoodie that's got, I think, an eagle on the back. Is that what it is?
Yeah, dove, I think.
Dove,
yeah.
Right, okay, that makes sense. And then he's got blue jeans and a blue jean jacket, and I don't know. It's funny because I sent you an email saying, "Did you see this?" I think I actually might have even said, "Hey, did you see this crap that
So it's a collaboration.
You were like, "Oh, it's awesome," and I'm like, "What?"
So what I found interesting and awesome about it was that he's bringing together. It's a Gap and Balenciaga collaboration, and everyone knows Gap obviously for being affordable. And I mean, I was wearing Gap when I was a kid. Now you have that, and then you also have like a powerhouse like Balenciaga as like, oh, this is...
Sorry, so fill me in because I don't know who the hell Balenciago is.
No, really?
No, I don't have a clue.
Oh, okay. So Balenciaga is, think like Dior. It's like that higher-esh, like it's above, I would say, as far as pricing, it's above Louis Vuitton, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're kind of in between, I would say, Louis Vuitton and under Hermes. Like you're kind of in that middle market.
Oh, so this is this is a big line. I've never heard of it.
Huge.
They have their own stores and stuff.
It's yeah.
Huh.
It's they had.
Is it owned by that one dude who's
the LSV?
Who's married to Salma Hayek? Is it all owned? Because it's funny, like he owns every premium brand on the planet. It's
Balenciaga. I feel like they're relatively known for. I'm trying to think. The Balenciaga Runner, the sock boots. Have you ever seen the sock shoes? They have it's like mesh, all like one solid. Like it looks like those like workout shoes that are.
Yeah, have you met me before?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
I'm an average Joe.
Okay, I'm trying to explain it. No, but anyway, so they're a high end company and kind of like middle everyday type of company. They're coming together, and then it has like the Gap, wording on it, and obviously Kanye West is promoting it, but that's not.
So the price point. Because I thought the price points were high because I'm looking at Yeezy stuff. And so this guy's clothing's really expensive. So this is actually probably a very fair middle ground.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the prices didn't look too outrageous. If I remember. What was it, like $120, I think, for the hoodie rather than the...
Well, like the T-shirts, I think were like $120. The hoodie might have been $140. And I know the pants, like the jeans were like $2 something.
Yeah. I mean, jeans are kind of like... Jeans are hit or miss. You're gonna find expensive jeans. Like you're gonna find ones for like $50, and then you're gonna find jeans for like $1,000. Yeah. But the T-shirts, that's a bit expensive. $120.
And again, right? Well, actually, I guess this. I'm trying to remember now. It did have some branding on it, right? Does it actually have like the?
It has just like the front kind of like very like faded Gap type thing. You can barely see it on there.
So it's actually
very minimal.
Yeah, it's single color, right? So it's black on black, but you can.
Black.
Yeah, so you can see the Gap.
Yeah, I mean...
Which is interesting. So Gap is actually getting their branding on it now.
Gap's getting their branding. I would imagine they have that little YeezyTag
in
the back.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, though. And then I saw Nike and Louis Vuitton with Virgil, who passed away. Rest in peace. They're coming together with I think it was like an Air Force One Air Force One silhouette, and then I had the LV monogram like surrounding.
Yeah,
the whole shoe.
I mean, I guess with sportswear, there are so many collabs going on. Like,
Oh yeah, Adidas and Gucci.
like Prada. Prada and Adidas have been doing some stuff for a while, and then I just saw the Gucci thing too. So I'm like, damn, man, everybody's cross pollinating. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I mean, we kind of have something in the works with that. I think collaboration is a form of marketing as well as it is just as a form of developing. You have, these two different categories coming together. I think with the, what we talked about with the Yeezy stuff, it's very like specific, that niche market, because like
the crosses work, right? Because I've never heard of Balenciago, and here we are talking about it. Now I know who, it's work, right? Because of the Yeezy collab. So
yeah, exactly. I'm saying like the people, I don't know. I guess it is. Yeah, I guess so. I guess you did kind of debunk my whole theory there. I guess so.
Yeah.
No, but you, what's it called? You were traveling this week. You had a story to tell about the plane. What's going on, man? This is news to me.
Humanity is just an interesting thing, right? So I mean, there's all kinds of horror stories on travel, and I generally am a very chill traveler, right? I don't if shit gets delayed, or I've actually had to sleep in O'Hare Airport overnight because
Where?
my 1 o'clock flight's canceled. You just
on the floor,
right? I've done it, and I never get emotional. I never get crazy about it because you see people, you've seen all the videos, right? People screaming at gate agents and. It's like these people are just they're doing the best they can, honestly, right? They're not out to get you, and so I'm pretty chill, and people get frustrated, and I get it, and you're on the airlines, and sometimes people have connections, and they get all widgety about it and stuff like that. But I'm flying from Philly to Chicago, right? So it is a fairly big plane. I'm in row, I think it was like 12 or 14. So I'm kind of far back, and I'm basically in the aisle seat, and there's a woman in the window seat, and I guess she's in her late 40s, maybe 50s, so about the same age as me, a little younger, but she's very fidgety, and she's like constantly looking over at me, and at one point, like, she kept looking, and eventually, I guess she just said, I have to, can I get out? I have to go to the bathroom. And I'm thinking she kept looking at me, like waiting for me to volunteer to get up. Right, and get out of her way, and
she might be antisocial or something.
Well, who knows? I mean, that's true, right? I think there was something going on, and I'm like, all she had to do is, as soon as she said, "Hey, can I get out?" I got up and boom, and she came back and fine. But it's only like a 90-minute flight, right? Very
that's nice.
Very fidgety, and it wasn't a rough flight or any crazy stuff that would upset someone. But the thing that just really set me off, and I like I said, I'm typically very chill, and I just usually laugh because I'm kind of that's one of the things I like doing is just watching people, right? Because it's amazing how what you can see, and I always said I want to go back to college and be a psychology major and do a paper on just how people act at an airport, because it is just hilarious. Funny.
Dude, you'll see all types of people at the airport.
But so I mean. We land, and anybody who's flown, right? When you land, and the thing gets to the gate, and the little there's the bell, and everybody gets up and unbuckles and stuff like that. But when you're in the middle of the plane, right, you're not going anywhere. Yeah. Right. There's just you're not going anywhere, right? So I'm on the aisle, and of course the guy across me is already standing, and he's basically right where. In the aisle,
trying to be like the first person to get off.
So she keeps, very fidgety, keeps looking at me, and at one point she's like, "Are you going to move?" And I'm looking at her, I'm like, "Huh?" I literally just said, "Huh?" And then I just kind of went back to listening to my music or whatever, just waiting for the aisle to clear. And as soon as the aisle clears, it's your turn. You stand up, you grab your bag, and you run. Right? It's a simple process. And she's like, I need to get out. And can you move? And I'm like, and I turned to her and I was like, where would you like me to go? Up this gentleman's ass?
You said that to
I
her?
said that to her because I was like, what?
no.
Sometimes I get agitated. I guess I get agitated. And it just, for whatever it was, she just struck a nerve. And I'm like, where do you want me to go?
And then what she said?
It's a plane, right?
Yeah,
it's a
right.
tin can, right? And there are a million people. And it's like, I wasn't going anywhere.
No. Yeah.
And I don't know if she wanted to get her bag for some reason. I mean, you know how it is, right? You stand up, it's 2 seconds to reach and grab your bag and go, right? And that's how it ended up working out. But I was like, where do you want me to go?
I don't know. Like, my first response is to obviously be on your side, but it's just like you never know what that person's going
and I've
through,
had
right?
people who have to make connections, and they'll say, "Do you mind if I get in front? Can I get out in front of you because I have to make a connection?" Very polite about it. And I'm like, "Sure." Yeah. Here, let's swap seats right now, and help you out, right?
Yeah.
There was none of that. It was just.
Did she respond to you or anything?
No, at that point, then she just kind of sat back down, but then she kept looking at me, and I know she was glaring at me and stuff like that, like, how dare you? And I was like, it was just like, it wasn't like I was doing something that if I could have moved, I would have moved, right? I mean, like, it was just so annoying. I've obviously maybe it's just because I'm spinning back up traveling.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first trip I've had since November because of Omicron shutting everything down again. So, I don't know. It was the first plane trip I had. So maybe I was just a little agitated more than I normally would be. But I was like, man, what the hell's wrong with people?
Knock on wood. It looks like everything's starting to calm down, though. Like,
know what? I thought that. I thought that before Omicron because we were talking about that. My travel was like going crazy in October and then early November, and then it fell off a cliff. And then, sure enough, I was shut down all the way until just now. Right, this was the first trip I've taken. But I mean, I'm actually going to Ohio next week, and then I got a bunch of trips coming up. So
you know what? Kind of grinds my gears. Are you one of those people that claps when the plane lands?
No, who does that?
Dude, every time I'm on a plane, people clap that the plane lands. I never understood that, dude. It bothers
seriously?
me to no
I
end.
don't think I've ever seen that.
You never seen anyone clap when the plane lands?
Well, so here's the thing. I mean, I tend to be sitting towards the front because I have status, and I think most of the people around. I think most of the people around me are seasoned travelers, right? Okay. So if there's clapping, I'm assuming that's going on in the back for people who have never flown before. Because like, who does that?
People clap when the plane lands. I never understood it.
That's just ridiculous,
dude. It's actually insane. But like, I get it. They're happy, get ready to get off the plane, whatever. It's just
so turn to them and say, "Do you clap when you arrive home from your daily commute?"
Yeah, literally more dangerous
because you
have a car.
You have more of a chance of dying when you're drive to the Acme or whatever, the Acme.
The Acme?
Yeah, to get your water.
No, yeah, that's bizarre. So I was continuing my job searching this week on the topic of, I guess, getting into the real world.
Fun, huh?
Yeah. So I was on LinkedIn applying to places, doing the whole thing, and I applied to a job.
Interesting, LinkedIn, huh?
Yeah, and it's like job searches, and it takes you directly to the website, and then you just apply. So I went to this one company, and it didn't have the salary linked on there, which is, I guess, normal. Most of them don't. But I went on there, did it, and I get a phone call at 8:30 at night, and it was the woman who I guess I applied to, and I was thrown off because I'm like, that's like after hours, sure, whatever. Maybe she's a one-person show, kind of handling everything, and she's like, I just want to let you know that we're, a company out of here, and you're not going to be getting paid a salary. You get paid a commission. I'm like, okay, so tell me about your business. What are you guys selling? What are you guys doing? And she's part of a pyramid scheme, I come to find out, as she's talking. So what you have to do is...
Yeah, you got to be careful.
No, so... Yeah, but they're on LinkedIn. I didn't expect the sharks to be in the water, you know what I'm saying? So it turns out you have to sell 2 courses, so you have to buy the course and then sell 2 courses before you start making money. So after you sell the 2,
classic
right,
scheme. Yeah.
So after you sell the 2, then you start making money, and they sent me an hour and a half. It's like what's that called? Like a slideshow presentation. I'll send it to you. It's actually hilarious.
Oh, thank God I don't have to go through this kind of crap. Oh my God,
it's actually funny. And she's like, yeah, so we're gonna do a follow-up call on Sunday, and I'm like, okay, well, I first want to look at the job and see what I'm doing, because as she's speaking, I'm starting to understand. It only takes a second for you to be able to tell when something's extremely fishy or wrong, right? So I looked at it and I was just like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me. So I think I'm just going to have to ghost her, man. I don't want to get on the phone with her because she's going to try to, lie and Kniev her way back into.
Yeah, well, you can't escape these people once they have their claws into you. Just tell her you're not interested and you're moving on.
I just didn't know how that's still a thing in 2022.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's like the, what's the baby products, the Herbalife?
Yeah.
Dude, that's bananas too. Don't know how that's still a company to this day. But no, it was just funny. What else? I had a couple things I had to talk about. I've been starting to work out back again, and one of the things that I was kind of thinking of while I was working out is like we talked about motivation and all that type of stuff, and I've been watching like what's his name, Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, talk about like working out and discipline and everything like that. And it actually kind of struck an interesting nerve because it was like he's talking about like how if you could discipline yourself to like work out every day, make sure to eat healthy, it kind of translates to your everyday life. And I was just kind of taking an appreciation for that. But it was like, do you find yourself like when you kind of often find yourselves making like choices, I guess, quote unquote discipline, that it kind of makes that win or makes that end goal seem greater? Like, for example, I worked out and then kind of followed like a food program, like ate this time. It was all healthy stuff. But when I kind of held out to eat, it seemed like it was way better than just like kind of eating whenever you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did you ever find yourself in that kind of situation before where you're kind of like, I don't know, I guess following by like a certain guideline in your head and then it just makes that win significantly better or bigger?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just one of the things I was talking about, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you put the work in, right, you want to get the reward.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just, yeah.
It was just one of those things I wrote down. I was like, I got to talk about this. Last thing. Okay, here we go, Joe. This is important. This is actually a crazy
Hopefully it's not
question.
the last thing. We only have 26 minutes on the calendar.
Sorry. Last thing I have on my notes, okay? Would you rather, this is anyone in the audience too, live to 1,000 years old, like, so from 0 to 1,000, okay? And you kind of age like how you would from 0 to 100, so you're not just going to be old and wrinkly at like 500 years old. You're going to be kind of aging.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. So, I mean, you're aging, but you age.
It's like delayed, Or would you rather live 10 lives to 100 years old, but know the information from each life?
Well, what's the difference?
So you would, let's say, like from those 10 lives, you would start in the year 2000 and you would go to
you would get old and then you'd flip back to being a baby and have to live through that shit.
But you keep the information so the stock market's the way to go. This is the career path I want to go. Or you could trial and do different things. So like one life you could be a bank robber, the next one you could be a cop or something like,
Yeah, I think
This is an important question, by the way, for the people listening.
Yeah, I can tell, but no, it's actually it's interesting. I think I'd rather have just a single life that you live to 1,000 years. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. I'm kind of on the fence between the two, but if I were to pick, I think I would do 10 lives 10 times because you could, I think, negotiate and do things differently. So let's say you go through and you kind of mess up.
Are you guaranteed to live so you can do stupid shit like jump off cliffs and stuff like that?
Now we're getting too much into the specifics.
Yeah.
So
like it's a real thing.
Right. Like
here's
it's like
the
a
legal
groundhog
agreement
day.
that the devil makes you sign in order.
It's like a groundhog day where you just kind of live over
and over again. All right, sorry, I'll take it back.
So
yeah, what are the rules?
I don't know. I think I would do the 10 for 10 or the 10 for 100 because, if you think to live to 1,000. You're going to outlive your grandkids, like, however many times, like, however many pairs of grandkids you have, and it's just going to be kind of like a depressing thing. But I guess in the same thing with the 10 lives of 100, you're also, like, having different families. So does that carry, like, more weight? Like, oh, man, I really miss these people.
Well, I mean, I guess you have more diverse experiences, right? Because, I mean, if you live to 1,000 and you only have one life, right? Even living 1,000 years, you probably have settled.
You kind of like accepted fate.
No, I mean you probably have routines, right? So you never break. You could do the exact same freaking thing for 1,000 years, right? You get into your nuances, right? Where I guess if you have different lives, you have different exposures and more of a diverse life.
Yeah. No, most definitely.
So, yeah, I don't know.
It's a tough question, man. I was talking about that today over breakfast, and I was like, damn, that's actually, I'm going to write this down.
I mean, as far as I know, I still have a shot at living to 1,000, so it's possible, right?
Yeah, man. You taking your vitamins every day?
I am, yeah.
Okay, well, there you go.
I even take some extra vitamin D every time I travel because I hear that's pretty good for COVID.
Really? Yep. I take, this is probably boring for the people listening, but I take ashwagandha.
Yeah. Whoa, slow down there, because we didn't talk about this, but I actually have that downstairs. Really? Yeah, you know what it was? Is I was, literally, this is one of those things I kind of hate about Amazon, but I bought some vitamins on Amazon, and the next thing I know, I get this hit for all these like natural herbs and stuff like that, and I start reading, and I'm like, oh, this sounds really cool, and I bought that and something else.
Fish oil?
No, fish oils. I mean but it was like these really weird, Asian herbs and stuff like that. And you're reading and you read all I start reading the reviews and stuff. But that was the one I actually have it, and I take it. And the funny thing is, I have a bottle of it. I don't even know what the hell it does.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. It's like boost testosterone. We're not.
I can use that. 50 years old, right? So that's
what else does it do? Oh, like better moods, stuff like that. I mean,
well, clearly I have issues when I'm on a plane with moods, so
maybe pop two.
Maybe this is
So I don't know. I've been getting more into the vitamin stuff. I also been taking what's that called? Like fish oil, vitamin D, iron. Like it helps with your moods.
Oh, there's a million things. I literally.
But I want to start taking.
You should see my drawer downstairs. It's freaking crazy.
I want to take the liver. What's that called? Like you're supposed to eat like liver pills or like raw liver. I would like to try that out.
Oh,
like
you and your
sick,
what's
dude.
that guy? The Liver King?
Yeah. Dude. Yeah, the guy gave us a half-ass email back. But hey, we're not going to talk about it. I want to try that, and I want to try bone marrow. I heard those two things are supposed to be like phenomenal for you. So I don't know, dude. I just been trying to do the right things again. It's about to be summertime. You gotta,
you got a style and profile. Yeah.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
The ladies, hello,
dude. I don't know, man. I think this is another one of those weeks that's just been kind of like a slow week. I can't tell you anything else that really happened besides the Yeezy stuff that had made that much of an effect in my life personally.
Well, I mean, we've been kind of going back and forth on clothes for exclusive lines, right? Because we still have not finalized on what we're doing for our next release.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We spent a little extra time looking into overseas production, and I don't know. We kind of have mixed opinions on that. I know I am.
You're kind of 50-50 on it.
I'm probably less than 50-50 at this point. I'm just.
That's a fair thing to say. I mean, my whole thing is when I look at the clothes, it's just like we're at the point where we obviously, have to be different than everyone else. We can't just put out, the same thing and hope for different results. We have to kind of diversify. So that's why I kind of would get into stuff more like this Yeezy hoodie that's thicker. I would obviously change the bottom tapering of it, try to maybe go a little longer. But you gotta, when you're at this point in growing, you have to kind of do these different things, whether it be different hoodies or if you are going to do the t-shirt route, make it at least premium. And even if we kind of do like a 50-50 split where we talked about, with the Kanye thing, doing a black and blue only, we just try that out, release an exclusive amount of those, and then everything else just has been working how it's been working. That's all full steam ahead. And then kind of see how that does. Are we seeing more traction with this and people being like, oh, this is such a sick concept. You guys are leveling up every time. Or, there's kind of a cutback. Oh, these prices are too high. I think you guys should, go this direction. Maybe make it less noisy. Just kind of have like a simple logo on it or embroidery or whatever the case is for that. And just kind of do the checks and balances and kind of do that. Because we're at a point where we could afford to, see what works and what doesn't work, whereas I feel like if a bigger company just kind of try to pivot and do something else, they have money to blow, but it just kind of more, I don't know. For us, it would make more sense to do that because of our size. It could kind of project us to kind of blow up in a different sense.
I mean, we obviously can be nimble about it, right? And
it never hurts to try, and I feel like that's something that I could speak of myself. I've been definitely trying to do stuff differently, and I think that would be sick. I mean, what if we did like a hoodie with just like a simple embroidery and then a simple embroidery and then that's it,
Well, I mean, so I'm a fan of obviously the simple, right?
Yeah.
Which is funny. Here I am complaining that this Yeezy thing doesn't have any branding and stuff like that, and how simple can you get, right?
Yeah,
So I'm kind of a walking
an advertisement for simplicity.
yeah. So anyway, I do like the simple, and I think the embroidery would be cool, but obviously that's logistically it's a little bit more challenging. But yeah. So I mean, we keep talking. We got to definitely move on something.
Yeah. Well, after this, we could put something together.
Yeah. I mean, we just it is what it is. So we got some designs and stuff like that, and we'll get something. But yeah, it
is tough. I don't know, man. Besides that, I saw you when I first came in here. You're finally playing Dying Light. How's that been coming along?
Good. I've kind of been banging away on that for the last 2 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I go with video games. I mean, literally, I hadn't played the Xbox. You should have seen the dust on the controllers. It was funny. I think I took a picture and put it up on social media. But, like, I mean, I literally have not touched my Xbox in 2 years. I mean, kid you not. You
were about to buy the new one just to play that game.
Well, yeah, that was really a stupid idea. But, yeah, it was coated. I mean, my controllers were coated in dust. I had to clean them off. And, yeah, so I've been probably playing pretty hard for the last 2.5 weeks or so.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I don't know. I kind of like it just to do it. You know where my stance on that type of stuff goes. I don't know. I always like playing games. Always will.
So, have you seen the Steam Deck? It's kind of like the Nintendo Switch, but it's a Steam. Steam, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course.
And it's almost like it looks like a Nintendo Switch, but I guess it's got a full blown. It's got some sort of an NVIDIA processor that will actually allow you to run, either their Steam OS, which is kind of a Linux-based thing, or I heard you can actually run a copy of Windows 11 on it. And so you can play. It's like a portable computer almost, where you can play, full-blown PC games on a portable console, or a Nintendo Switch thing.
I think that'd be pretty cool to do. I just like. There's nothing that always just beats, having an actual physical controller in your hand and just kind of sitting down and doing it. But I mean, it is a cool concept. I like those the Oculuses. I think those are sick. That's like the future. I feel like.
Yeah, I'd like to try it.
It's one of those things where you have to have like specific games. Like I could see the people that are into racing.
Like Dying Light would be awesome in
oh my God.
like VR.
From what I've seen, this guy's on the top of Empire State Building.
To put this in perspective, right? So Dying Light's it's a typical zombie game, right? Where the world has kind of gone to crap and you're
like a Walking Dead type.
Yeah. So I mean, you're in this big major city that is pretty much survivors and zombies, and so I'm doing this thing where you have to climb to the top of the tallest building. So kind of think like the World Trade Center, right? And you have to climb to the top of it and turn on this antenna, right, at the top of the building. And so I'm afraid of heights, right? And I'm playing a freaking video game and I am getting vertigo. It is crazy.
No, I'm
saw
it. You were high up there,
trying to inch my way across these walkways and stuff that are on the edge of this building, and it gives you that. I mean, I can only imagine in VR.
Yeah, you were saying that you could go all. What I found was cool. Besides that, was like you said that you could go everywhere that you were looking. Like the whole map
it's an
was
open.
The whole map was playable, which I feel to be super cool. I mean, how was it? Like a relatively big game? A lot of.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think I've scratched the surface yet because I think there's a whole nother third of it or so that I'm still have to play. But yeah, I mean, you basically, I mean, it's a typical game, open world, but all of the quests and all the collections and all the stuff storyline keeps you kind of in a narrow, track. So you've got free reign where you can run around this city and stuff like that, but. Generally speaking, the stuff that you're chasing is kind of keeping you into a narrow and you're kind of on a rail. But it's pretty wild. I mean, you can
do anything.
Yeah.
How many gigs was it?
Oh God, I installed it. It was probably pushing 50 or 60.
That's not bad. Call of Duty nowadays is like 200.
Did I see they postponed that for another year?
Yeah. So they're doing what we talked about. They're doing the biannual. They officially announced it. So 2022. And then now
officially
it's officially. So 2023 they're going to skip. 2024 we're going to get another one, which is a Treyarch game. But yeah, no, I'm excited for it, man. I mean, I don't know. I just kind of fell out of the Call of Duty stage right now. Like I said, just been playing a lot of Apex, which is a battle royale. For the people who don't know, it's like kind of like Fortnite, first person. It's fantastic, and the devs are really hands on, which is fantastic. You love a game that like the developers are constantly working on, for one, and for two, that they're actually playing. Like they actually play the game. They're not just like you know building it and kind of like Call of Duty. Like you don't know if these people are playing it. So no, that's always cool. No, actually, it's actually funny as you were talking about that. Something popped up this week that I was texting you about. It was an obligation that I had, where it was like you get kind of. It was like a contract. Like I had to do X thing to do something. They paid me for it, and then they kept asking about it, like over and over and over and over again. And after the fact, she sent me a message that was like, "Hey, like we paid you to do this. So you better abide by this. But this was after the fact, right? And I kind of was messaging Joe. I was like, hey, man, like, I don't know what to do in this situation. Like, I'm helping these people with this thing that, we agreed upon, and I'm kind of done with it. And you're like, what'd you say? You're like, I hope you didn't spend the money or something like that.
I mean, I'm assuming there was no legal agreement, right?
She sent me like an email. It was like, hey, just agree with this statement. It was like, you'll not exceed 50 hours. But it was like kind of like an email thing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? I mean, it's a very litigious society, so you have to just. It's unfortunate, right? I mean, you never know what you just don't know how people are going to be, right? I mean, it sounded to me like this woman was going to be a serious headache, and it was almost like just. I say, look, it's just not. Sorry, I'm not the right person for you. Here's your money back, and have at it, right? And just be done with it. But
I'm never like the type to be like that either. Like I'm not going to scam the person.
Wants to give up on something. Yeah, but I mean, when the thing you were asking was like only she could provide, so it was like. You understand I'm asking you to provide something for me to help you achieve the goal here, right? And you want to fight me and argue about it and
literally
treat me like I'm
I'm the bad guy. Like I'm trying to do something. And I was like being very transparent with her. I was like, hey, first of all, like I just want to let you know that I was assigned to do what I said. Well, it was a middleman. We had a middleman kind of communicate because the girl that actually owns it's very busy, whatever. So we had a middleman, and I was talking to her, and she was kind of giving me attitude, like she was like the CEO over here, and I'm like, yo, well, listen. Like I did what me and the actual person that agreed upon this contract did, whatever. And she kind of pumped her brakes, and she was like, oh yeah, whatever. And then her friend texted me and was like, oh, by the way, you have to update these plugins. I'm like, I'm done here. The damage is done. I'm already out of here. We'll see ya. So,
well, so I mean, most web designers, I guess, they have maintenance. I mean, so they put in these maintenance agreements to kind of prolong the opportunity to collect money and stuff like that. But it's, I mean, it's obviously a learning experience. So the first thing is if you ever sign anything that sort of looks like a legal agreement, you want to make sure it's not you signing it personally. You always want to have it under a corporate umbrella, so you've got some personal protections, because people will, unfortunately, people will sue for stupid shit. And
dude, it's actually crazy. And then, I'm learning a lot of stuff in my marketing class, and kind of cross like pollinating, I guess, what we're doing and what I'm doing with the class or whatever. And what these people's market is it's extremely broad. Like it's like people of all ages and people of all backgrounds could come and do this thing. And what we're learning in my marketing class is you have to find a niche market and target that market. They're trying to get like everyone's competitor, and it's just not a good way to run business. And like that's like I guess a tip 101 for anyone that's kind of trying to start a business is like first find your niche market and then kind of
I don't know the specifics. I mean, some people do take the shotgun approach and then see what sticks. That's the age-old saying, like let's throw a bunch of shit against the wall and
see what
figure out what sticks, and then once it sticks we focus in on that, right? So that I don't know if that's the ploy here, but the shotgun approach can be a viable starting point. You just have to recognize that it's a short-term window, and then you have to narrow down at some point, right? You can't be the end all for everybody.
No, yeah. I mean, I would like to have my marketing professor on here. He's kind of he's an interesting guy, dude. Like he'll always talks about, like he's on his own, he has his own podcast, I think, for one. So I think he'd be open to do it. But he's like, since you guys are in school, you might as well take advantage of the only thing that's really useful to you guys, the .edu. The .edu
discount at Apple?
No, the .edu what's it called? The email. Like, you know, it's like davidwatson.edu.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the most valuable thing because everyone wants to help a college kid. And I'm like thinking, I don't know if that's necessarily true because I'm applying for all these jobs and they're like, you're not qualified.
What does that mean? Yeah.
I'm applying for all these jobs and they're like, you need 5 years experience. You also need to be a videographer, Photoshop designer, and a marketer. It's like, dude, what the hell am I even like applying for?
Yeah, that's not going to be easy, man. You know.
So I don't know. I'll have to get him on here. He's cool. He's a cool guy, but.
Does he actually have practical experience, or has he been a teacher also?
No. He's a practical guy. He's actually really cool. He's let me try to think here. So this guy's different from the other person I told you about. The other person, he was in the medical devices. He did the medical devices for 30 years. Very cool guy. He's very old school in the way that he goes about things. He's like, hey, I think I talked about this before. He's like, hey, you know, if you're gonna go for a job, listen, you're gonna need to shave your beard. I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, we're living in the 1980s. Like, no one needs to do that anymore. And he's like, no, I'm just telling you. He's like, you know, you have to look clean cut and dress into a suit. I'm like, all right, man. I'm gonna take the 50-50 and not shave my beard and see what happens. You know what I mean? But no, he's cool. And then this guy, he's more tech savvy. He was actually specifically in marketing, not sales. And he's the complete opposite. He's on Twitter all the time, you know, starting fights or commenting on things and, you know, very like, I guess you could say like a Gary Vee type where he's like not afraid to kind of talk about opinionated stuff. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be cool to have someone like that on the show, you know, who's kind of off the cuff and ready to fly. So
I wanted to ask you, now that you mentioned podcasts, do you know the Full Send and the neck guys? Is that
Nelk? Yeah, Nelk. Those are the guys I sent you.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah. But I've been, you know, ever since that, I've been actually listening to their podcast, and so my question is, how the hell did they get started? Are they rich kids who?
All right, so
that bought it. I mean, I'm always wondering, like, because I'm listening to it, and I'm like, what redeeming quality are these guys bringing to the table? And I'm not even sure I get it. And I kind of picked up some things where they at some point must have done some of the joke videos.
Yeah, so I'm not someone who's completely versed on their exact background, but I could give you kind of like an overall rundown. So what happened is there were started off as like 2 or 3 guys that were doing like prank videos, the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And got famous from that, and then that kind of parlayed into a clothing brand underneath what they were doing. But by that point, they already had like a couple million subscribers or whatever. And then from there, they found this guy, Steve Will Do It. And Steve is just kind of like a crazy character. He like, you know, his start, like his, what is that called? Road to Stardom came from him downing like Jack Daniels bottles in like one sitting. He'd put like a straw in it and like drinking the whole thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? But from there, they just kind of been like the pranksters, and they still do it to this day. But they have a guy behind the scenes, like their CEO, and they have a full team that are like notable guys, and they kind of have like a good powerhouse backing them. And then they just got really close with Dana White, and you know, kind of just
well, I mean, Dana White has been on, and I'm like, man, this, you know, I know Dana's doing it because there's, you know, millions of views, but
yeah, so Dana has a kid, and his kid like
loves these
guys,
right,
so he just kind of like, you know,
because I did ask Noah about it, and he's like, oh yeah, I know those guys. They did some crazy videos, like they filled out a McDonald's application with a bunch of stupid answers to see what they would do, and
they had like a bunch of Coca-Cola cans in the back of their car, and they were like crossing the border. They're like, yeah, we just got Coke in the back, and it was just like stupid stuff, you know what I mean? But it was like funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. So I'm listening to it, and it's almost become like an hour promo for their Happy Dad beer or something. The
seltzers.
Something, is that what it is? Seltzer? That's what it was. It was like a self-running promotion, and I'm like, and it's always, oh, I was at this party with this person, and I was doing this, and you know, I'm like, okay, it's Miami, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, partying, and I was hanging out with this person, and I'm like, man, it's got to be a nice life. Like all you do is talk about, you know, living the party life. I'm like, at some point that you got to burn out of all that. But I mean, for now, sure, why not? But it was just like, oh man, this is craziness.
Yeah, I mean, if they're talking about their day-to-day life on the podcast, right? And when we talk about our day-to-day life, we're like, oh, you know,
that's true. I mean,
Joe went to, you know, Detroit, you know, and all that type of stuff. So it's
not as fun, I guess. I'm going to the wrong places. Nobody cares that I was in Chicago or Detroit, which is where I was.
So talk about Chicago. You like deep dish. I've never been to Chicago.
So my son's like, I said to my son, I'm going to Detroit and Chicago, and he goes, "Oh my God, are you going to get shot?"
Oh my God, that's like South Side
Yeah,
Chicago.
it's like
stuff.
I said, I'll probably be driving through the South Side, but on the highway, so hopefully I'll be there for 10 minutes. But sorry.
No, talk about the food, man. The deep dish. That's what they're known for, right?
Yeah, I'm not really a big Chicago deep dish pizza guy.
No, I'm not either. I like thin crust, man.
So the interesting thing is there's two different kinds. I don't know how to explain this, right? So I think that the traditional that everybody outside of Chicago has probably seen is just a flour kind of thick crust pizza, but there's this other. There's two companies. I forget what they are. Illuminati's and
whoa.
maybe it's Giordano's or something. There's two there's two like family things that sort of duke it out for. We're the founders of the deep dish pizza, but one of them makes it with I think flour, and the other one makes it with cornmeal.
What the hell?
So it sounds kind of weird, but it's like
good?
it's the pizza crust and it's made with like a cornmeal, so it's kind of like a dense cornbread, maybe.
That type of pizza you got to eat with like a fork and stuff, right? Like you can't just eat that.
Yeah, and so yeah, I don't really prefer either one. I thought the cornmeal one was kind of interesting only because it was interesting. Right? I never had it before. I can't think of the name of the company that does that, but
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big Chicago pizza guy, so
yeah, this summer I think I'm trying to travel a little bit more than I did because like last summer, I guess, trying to make it count. So I'm looking at different spots to go. Obviously, like the go-to ones like Florida, obviously.
Yeah, everybody's
but like I would like to travel a little bit outside of that, like go to like Italy or something. Hopefully we don't break out into like a World War III so we could still travel by then. But,
What are you, what's that woman on The View who, like, just no self-awareness at all. Like they they're like, oh, all these people are going to die in this war, and she's like, yeah, I'm really concerned because it's going to impact my Italian vacation.
No.
And I'm like, are you kidding me with this? What's that? Oh, Joy Behar. Oh my God.
I didn't even know The View was still on, man. I'm just out, bro. Who the hell is buying cable still? The only thing cable's good for is to watch football in the news.
Okay, so I mean, I have cable, and I sure as hell don't want it. I literally want.
Get rid of it.
I can't. The problem is, well, actually, I guess I could at this point because everything is available on the internet one way or the other, and all wink, wink. Yeah, you know what?
Coming from the guy that said he never bought a pay-per-view fight.
Well, everything. Yeah, that's right. Everything's connected, right? So I still need to have internet service.
Well,
so if you uncouple the TV and the phone from the triple play, then the internet is almost as much as it's. I mean, the TV isn't really. It's just it's effed, right?
So I'm talking to my friends and I'm talking to my parents, and I'm trying to understand because I still live with my parents. Whatever. Call me freeloader, whatever. So they're paying like $200-something for cable and
everything.
Right.
I'm not paying
my
that
friends,
much, but
my friends are paying like I think $80 for internet, and I'm like, why don't we just go to the internet? You could save like $120 and everything. They're like, oh, well, the news is not on Roku or whatever. I'm like, so the only reason that
who cares? Who watch? I mean, I can't remember the last time I watched local news.
Well, my dad, he's doing everything like that with the landscaping stuff, whatever. So
the only reason you would watch the local news is for weather, right? Or traffic.
But you have that on your phone.
You have that on your phone.
So
right?
I'm looking at the news one day with my mom.
Well, so what I want is, I don't know if you've seen this, but I guess Verizon, AT&T, they're starting to ship. It's basically it's like a bigger Wi-Fi. So it's a hotspot, right? It's a Wi-Fi hotspot, but it'll do 5G. So instead of having your Ethernet router here or your cable modem, right? You basically just plug in this 5G router, and then that services your house at ultra high speeds that are matching, basically what you're going to get on cable or thing.
I think. So this is what the deal is. I think if a company like Armstrong, Comcast, whatever it is, comes and finally gets a grip, and they're like, all right, we're going to charge per channel or something like that, they're going to crush the market.
Never happen,
bro. If they get Wi-Fi and they let you have like 5 channels, like let's be realistic, you need like
it's not ABC. It's not even them that's doing that, right? Because I think they'd all be okay with doing it. The service providers would probably be fine doing that.
It's the
It's the Comcast who own 80 of the channels, right? They're going to go, All right, well, our hot channel right now is, I don't know, whatever, Discovery or Home and Garden TV. But in order to get that, you have to also buy these 6 other channels, right? That's the problem. They won't unbundle them.
Yeah, I mean,
because if they do, it would collapse. All the content would just collapse.
Good, it needs to. I
agree. It's all
turned
garbage.
on MTV for 2 seconds, and it was, bro, it was ridiculousness for 23 hours of the fucking day, dude. I'm looking. Sorry for cursing. I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the guide. Ridiculousness, all day long, and then at the end, at like 10 o'clock at night, there's something different. And then I turn on the news because I'm getting my hair cut, so I'm like, all right, I'm not trying to watch this. I'm trying to hear like whatever that girl's name's laugh is, whatever. And then I look at the news, and the news is not even talking about news stuff. They're talking about animals, and like, I mean, I'm not like against the animals or anything like that, but like if I'm turning the news on, like,
yeah, you don't care about some cheetah who's running faster than, I get it.
I mean, hey man, we got to be careful. We're like this with Carole Baskin nowadays,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You got to make sure we appreciate the animals. But I'm just saying, when I'm turning the news on, I need to see the news. I don't need to see that, cheetahs turned 17 years old.
I hear you. Now that you've got me thinking about this, I'm like, I got to get rid of this TV.
Well, I mean,
like I said, the biggest problem though, and I looked into it, is I got the gig Ethernet, right? So I mean, I got to have that, and that a standalone, I think, is like they want to charge like $100 and something bucks for it, and I'm like, okay, so. For $40 more, I keep the TV and the phone,
and
right? So it's like,
okay,
and then the next thing you know, you're at that freaking whatever it is.
No, this all started because you brought up The View, and I was like, who the hell's actually still watching this?
Nobody watches that garbage.
Yeah, and then we're gonna get a strange email. It's gonna be like, "Hey, by the way, talk about our show. We're gonna come clip you." It's like, all right,
it's fine. You can throttle back and you can demonetize us. So instead of that 3 cents we made since the start of this podcast, you can have it
zero.
back.
Yeah.
That's so kiss my ass.
Dude, that's the way to do it. We got to be completely in-house based where we don't care about stupid stuff like that.
Well, I mean, we're not making any money, so we don't care.
I'm saying in the future. I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, we're not there. In the future, things change, right? When you're making a big coin like some of these other guys, right? I get it. They got to dance around some bullshit, but... That's why I'm like wondering why we keep holding back on really diving into some of these things, because it's like, who cares?
I guess the only thing I would care about is like on a job search.
I know.
You know what I mean?
But trust me, I'm still working. I laugh about that because I'm like.
You're almost towards the end, and I'm about to start my start.
Honestly, right? It's the funny thing is if I said something stupid on this podcast, right, and somebody hears it and reports me to my employer, right, the next thing you know, my job's at risk, and it's like, that's just horseshit, but that's the reality of the world we're in.
Dude,
and
that's actually crazy.
When you get on a podcast and you start mouthing off, I guess you get yourself in trouble. So I'll wait till I retire, and then we'll really go at it.
Well, no, we're not waiting until you retire. I need to retire before we start talking about that stuff. No, I mean, you bring up some fair points. It's just crazy. Like, people are so, like, I don't know, up in arms. They're always trying to report you to the next person. Sure. Who's going to report you about? I mean, I don't know.
It gives their life meaning. That's the end of the day, right? I mean, like, if someone says something stupid, like you and I just kind of laugh and chuckle and move on with our lives, right? There are people who... That's their thing, right? Oh, I gotta trash this person or push them into the ground, and it's like, what? Why?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
get a life,
dude. I don't know. I think my problem is, all right, this will be a good topic to end on. My problem is like if I'm having a conversation with someone, for example, actually no, not for example. I'm having a conversation, let's say between me and you, and then like. That person goes and like badmouths and then tells someone that's gonna tell me, like, this just happened, and like it got back to my mom, and then she was like, "Yo, did you talk to this person about this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How did you know?" It's supposed to, like, she was like I don't know. I guess it's just like two-faced people. I can't stand that. I don't know. It's just like something where it's very specific. I'll have to tell you off the air because the person might be a guest, so I can't talk about it.
All right, whatever. People are just people.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is what it is. I don't know, man.
Everybody needs to be chill and laid back like me, man. Just, whatever. Let shit just rolls off of me.
You've been hanging with Snoop Dogg too much, man.
Is that what it is? Never done an illegal drug in my life. Or a legal drug, I guess. But anyway, so, yeah, all right. I guess we'll just...
Let's call it there. I have to take a P word.
Okay, well, yeah.
Thanks for everyone.
I can do the math, so it's... All right, cool. So this was episode 18.
Dude.
Let me see if I can get this right because I screwed it up last time. Episode 18 is what we are ending, and we will catch you on episode 19.
Yeah, we're having a big guest next week.
We are?
I don't know. Are we?
I don't know. Stay tuned for our release of some sort of clothing. It's coming.
No, it actually is, and if it isn't, then free clothes for a year. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, please.
I'm kidding.
Disclaimer.
No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. That was a joke.
Because our track record lately hasn't been very good with getting timelines hit. All right, cool. So that's it. We'll catch you all later. Thanks for the time. And remember to subscribe, like,
comment,
share, do all that stuff. We can't grow the podcast without your help and truly do appreciate it. So I'll turn it over to Marcus and our theme song.
I got exclusive game from my exclusive.
Later.
Yeah. Let me drop exclusive game from my exclusive mind. You be out here chasing fame, I stay steady on my grind. 0 diamonds, 0 chains, from my brain is where I shine. Hit you with them good lyrics, I ain't writing and I'm dying. And right now I'm alive, so check it. I reckon I shouldn't cuss on this record. I don't cuss on them often because I'm applying pressure. Grab that fire grind. 0 diamonds, 0 chains, from my brain is where I shine. Hit you with them good lyrics, I ain't writing and I'm dying. And right now I'm alive, so check it. I reckon I shouldn't cuss on this record. I don't cuss on them often because I'm applying pressure. Grab that fire from my dresser. EXM, who does it better? No, I won't let up. Gas pedal fully pressed, I do the dash to the checks. If it ain't assets, I'm never stressed. I keep it calm and collect. Most of y'all stuck in some debt, and you got bad credit. I learned my lesson, I was young and foolish, now I'm better. I kept my head up through the stormiest weather. Wipe my eyes and focused on where I'm headed. We call that constant progression. If we in Vegas and the option is betting on me, you know we cashing out to the teller. Now let me switch my endeavor, change up my whole approach. Let's have a toast to those who do the most. Achieving goals on the road to their dreams, on the path to the cream, counting stacks with their team, living lavishly, but still actively aware that they can be a casualty, so they don't lack humility and they don't dabble with the greed. Yes, they focused on the plan ahead. They know impact will lead to bread, and the bread equals success and less frets. Got some things to accomplish. When someone hits my line, it's not about some nonsense. We making moves, always grinding, we popping. You know we not gonna stop, and never no option but time, and the perfect time is right now. Not caught up in tomorrow. I'm all about making a conscious decision while I'm living. Make a choice, then I'm committed to that vision. I pivot if necessary. It's scary when you get caught in a position that isn't hitting you down bad because your persistence in the wrong direction. Just learn your lesson, you gotta check it. Audit you and keep on getting better. That's the motive, that's the method. And I'm headed further than I ever thought I could make it. I wouldn't stop unless my pulse flat lines like the doctor lost his patience.